Alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. I hope y'all are having a fantastic Tuesday morning. I kind of wanted to say, let's talk about it Tuesday, just so we can talk about some things that are important to me. And I wanted to share with you today the importance of this envelope. So I'll give a couple of seconds for people to come on. Let me know if you can hear me. Let's see, hold on one second. Okay. Let's see. Let me know if you can hear me. I am here. I hope you are here. And I'll just do it again if you end up not being able to hear me, I guess. So the quote today, again, is, alone we can do so little. Together we can do so much. And that's by Helen Keller. Okay, so I've said the quote like 3 times. My husband told me to say a quote while people are getting on here. So I wanted to share with you why this 18-year-old envelope is so important to me today. So I'm going to zoom it in here so you can see it. 18 years old. I've kept this envelope for 18 years. I was a sophomore in high school, and I had a teacher named Miss Cashell. She was incredible. She had a quote on her wall, and it said, "What's right is not always popular, and what's popular is not always right." And I remember that quote just being so amazing because I was not a popular kid. And I wanted to, of course, every kid wants to be popular, but I wasn't. So anyway, it was my sophomore year in high school. I was an emancipated adult. And for those of you that weren't here last Thursday when I shared that with you, emancipated adult is just where you basically live without parents. And so, hi Briley, hi Robin. Oh my gosh, you're one of those people. Hey Warren. Sorry, okay, now I'm gonna get on. I'm so excited to see y'all. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Anyway, so for those of you that don't know, when I was 16 years old, I was living by myself in a little 2-bedroom trailer as an emancipated adult. And it was my sophomore year in high school. Hey, Jessica. It was my sophomore year in high school when my teacher, Miss Cashell, was teaching. It was sophomore English. I was not very good in English, but I could barely speak it. That's what my daughter says now. She's like, I can barely talk English. That's why I'm not doing so well in it. Anyway, she's actually doing wonderful. But, okay, I'll not go off on a tangent. I wrote notes so that I could stay on track. I love you too, Robin. So I'm an emancipated adult. I went to the gym class that we all have gym. And I went to gym and I had my purse and I was working 3 jobs at the time. I was working at IHOP was one of my jobs. And so I made $2.10 an hour at IHOP plus tips. And I had saved the cash so that I could pay my rent. My rent for this trailer that I lived in was $175 a month. And so for those of you that don't want to do the math, I don't either. But $2.10 an hour plus tips. And I paid $175 a month for my rent. I was in gym class, and then the next class was English. And I went into my English class with my bag, and I looked in my bag to get a pen, and I realized that the $175 that I had taken that day, I was going to take it after school to pay my rent, was not in my purse. And it was there during gym class, but somebody had stolen it, and it was gone after gym. And so I reached in to get my purse, and I noticed to get my pen, and I noticed that the money was gone. And I was absolutely terrified. Now, again, I was living by myself in this little trailer, and I was terrified. I started having like a panic attack, and I started crying, and I walked out of the class. I was humiliated because everybody saw me crying. But I walked out of the class, and my teacher came out. She came out in the hallway, and I'm sitting on the floor with my hands over my face, and I'm just crying. And Miss Cashell was my teacher. And she said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "My money is gone. My money is gone. I had money in my purse, and it's gone." And I was a panic. And she said, "Okay, how much money was it?" And I said, $175. But what, to others, it may not seem like a lot, but to me, it was my home. If I couldn't pay my rent that day, it was due that day, I was going to take it after school. And if I couldn't pay my rent that day, I was afraid of being homeless. And I was just terrified that I was going to be kicked out and not, so all those thoughts came through my head, that I kind of was in it alone. Well, my sweet teacher, Miss Cashell, she said, "God's got this. He's got this. He's going to take care of you, honey." And she just gave me a big hug and told me to kind of go to the bathroom, take a deep breath, don't worry about it. And at the end of the day, Miss Cashell brought me this envelope. She gave me this envelope and she said, "Stephanie, kids were giving their lunch money for you. Kids and teachers were giving money." Now, I only had $175 that was stolen. But at the end of the day, she had raised over $500 for me. That meant so much. Not only was it above and beyond what I had stolen, but it calmed my anxiety and let me know that I was not alone. It planted seeds of faith because I wasn't a believer back then, but it planted seeds of faith. It helped me realize that I mattered, but not only to Miss Cashell, I mattered to everyone, that they all loved me, that I wasn't alone. Now there were a lot of popular kids and kids that I just never thought I could even talk to. And she gave me so much hope. I remember there was one night where there was a really big storm that came. And I was in this trailer by myself. And Miss Cashell didn't know how scared I was, but she knocks on my door. Okay, this is my sophomore English teacher. She has no reason to go above and beyond. She knocks on my door and says, "Pack your bag, you're coming with me tonight." And she took me to her home and allowed me to spend the night with her. And I'll never forget what it felt like to stay in that home with her family that night. Her daughter gave up her bed for me. I felt so loved. I felt wanted. I felt accepted. So not only did she raise money above and beyond in this envelope that I've kept for 18 years because it meant so much to me. This envelope was a symbol of you matter and you are cared about. And even the little things, which to me were huge, $175 was a huge deal. And she said, "You matter." And so I just want to encourage all of you today that you matter. You matter. I want you to reach out and thank a teacher. I want you to thank someone like Miss Cashell. Who was your Miss Cashell? Who taught you that you mattered? That was outside of your family or just somebody that actually showed you that you were cared about. Who was that person for you? So that's really what I wanted to tell you about today. I just wanted to teach you that you matter. So for all of my at-risk youth that I love so much and all of the kids in foster care and all of the kids that feel alone, you matter. Miss Cashell, I know you're watching right now. I see you. I want you to know that you mean the world to me and you matter. Thank you for what you did for me 18 years ago. Thank you for picking me up during some of the greatest storms of my life. Thank you for being hope when I felt hopeless. Thank you for having the courage to pass around an envelope so that some girl that I didn't feel like anybody could even see me, but so that some girl could know how valuable and how loved she was. Thank you. Thank you for all the teachers that gave, for all of the students that gave. Thank you. Thank you for teaching me that I matter. So, I want you to thank a teacher today, and I also want you to tip a waitress today. So if you see a waitress that's working hard, remember that $2.10 an hour or $5.70 an hour is not a lot of money. And a lot of these are youth and they're kids, and they need to be tipped well. And young women and young mothers and hardworking people. So thank a teacher and tip your waitress. And you matter. And thank you, Miss Cashell. I love you.